So, listen, good morning. I'd like to welcome all of you. My name is Tom Leatherberry, and welcome to our Business for Cause coffee or Coffee That Matters. Really like to thank each and every one of you for getting up this morning, coming out. The whole premise behind this is we, as members of the business community, we have technical resources, we have skills, we have technologies that a lot of nonprofit organizations could benefit from. They're very passionate about what they do. They do a great job at what they do, but where they often fall short is having those technical resources, those skill sets, those services that we can offer them. And so the whole point here is amplification. We take the message and we can amplify it. Thus far, just in the 9 weeks that we've been doing this, we are already getting interest from places like Arizona, Colorado, North Carolina, and beyond. This morning, I saw somebody in Austin, Texas on the site reading through the page. So we're definitely starting to amplify the noise. And what we want to do is make it meaningful. So this morning, we're going to start with Brian Holland. He's representing Phoenix Roasters and this wonderful location we're at. I'd like Brian to talk a little bit about it, and then we're going to yield to Claire Dees with Spectrum Autism Support Group.
It's a great day to be here together. It's Resurrection Weekend, Easter weekend, and regardless of your religion or belief system, it's spring, and it's a great time to get together. And I know a lot of folks have family coming in or you're traveling. So to make time on a Saturday to be here is extra special. Thank you so much. We started in a little restaurant next to Publix 18 and a half years ago. In August will be 19 years. It was called the Phoenix Community of Atlanta. It was designed to be a group of people that reach the broken, the hurting, the desperate, the marginalized, the under-resourced people of Atlanta. How many of you know what the official bird of the city of Atlanta is? It's not the hawk or the falcon. It's the phoenix from the Civil War. And that's exactly the kind of people that we were looking to help. Matter of fact, did you know that the phoenix in a Greek-dominated world was one of the early New Testament church symbols? Well, makes sense, right? Rising from the dead. Well, that's what we wanted to reach here in Atlanta. We work with 5 different homeless, addiction recovery, redignification groups here in Atlanta. We've started 3 churches here in Atlanta. We started 5. We got 3 going. So it's in 2008. That was 2007 that we started. 2008, there was some little economic murmur, if you remember the great crash of 2008. So it was a difficult time to get broken and hurting and desperate people to fund a church through the offering plate. We always say the pastor never likes to hear the offering being given. So we started the coffee company. We love coffee. It's a social contract. Let's go grab a coffee. It happens here all the time, every day, people getting together for a coffee. It's an hour-long, usually, time to just be together. Coffee became our alternative revenue stream for helping broken people. What we didn't know was we didn't know anything about roasting coffee. We didn't know anything about importing coffee. Does anybody know what the number one traded commodity on the commodities market is? It's oil. Does anybody know what the number 2 highest traded commodity on the commodities market is? It's coffee. What that means is in America, you're typically the 8th person to purchase the same bean. That means 7 other people between you and the farmer have handled that transaction. So we found out that some of the most generationally generous farmers were growing the best coffee in the world. We got introduced to them, and we started something that nobody else had done before us, and that was directly trading with the farmers. We started paying them at the time 10 to 20 times more than they were making on the first purchase, the first transaction. That gave them the economic margin to be points of light and relief and hope in their communities. We're seeing kids go to college in coffee communities where nobody ever went past the 3rd grade. because our farmers are providing scholarships and dignified wages to their workers so that their workers don't have to pull their kids out of school in third grade to go work in the fields. It's an incredible thing. The more mortality rate for birth in the coffee growing communities where we started was about 28% when we started working with these communities. Now we have birthing centers in some of these communities helping bring that rate down to below 5%. It's unbelievable. We started the first psychology center around Lake Atitlan, which is known to be the deepest volcanic lake in the world. But Lake Atitlan, where we get our coffee in Guatemala, the first children's psychology center in the whole lake of about 500,000 people. Last year, they diagnosed, Claire, the first case of autism in the history of the lake. Didn't mean it wasn't there before. They just didn't have the resources. Now, because our Phoenix Roasters Foundation raises money to resource our farmers to be points of light, in addition to the high wages we pay them, we're able to build a sensory learning center around Lake Atitlan to go along with clinical psychology center. So Phoenix Community of Atlanta, that's our church. Phoenix Roasters Foundation, that's our 501c3 foundation, and Phoenix Roasters, that's our coffee company, along with our new brand, Venturi Bold Brew, which is our nitro-infused bold brew in a can, which is going into all the hospitals here in Atlanta and beginning to show up in grocery stores and things like that. So it's a pleasure to be with people that have a heart for helping others. Thank you for being here today. Of course, we look forward to hearing from our friends, Claire. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Brian. I've known Brian a long time. He's a good guy, and he's got a lot of passion in his heart. And so now what I'd like to do is to introduce Claire Dees. She is with Spectrum Autism Group. She is the reason why we're all here this morning. And so as she is speaking, I'd just like you to think to yourself, as a business owner, is there a way that I can help? Either just through awareness programs through within the business, through my employees. Do I have an employee with a family member who might need to, who could benefit from this? So again, I'd like to introduce Claire Dees with Spectrum Autism Group.
All right. Y'all can hear me. Okay. I am not a tech guru, so I'm excited to have a fancy mic today. So how many of y'all have heard of Spectrum Autism Support? Oh, wonderful. And you still came to hear. Love that. So Spectrum, we're just right over here in downtown Duluth, and we've been there for 3 years, but we're in our 28th year currently. But I want to talk first just about how Spectrum started. And I always ask people, do you know anybody with autism? When my son was diagnosed with, there's a little bit of feedback, so I don't know what I need to do, but I don't want to hurt anybody's ears. Is there like a volume thing I need to do? So my son was diagnosed 36 years ago with autism. And when he was diagnosed, people didn't know what autism even was. So I had a hard time sometimes explaining to people what that meant. And it's such a spectrum disorder. So to be able to explain where he was on the spectrum, he was on the very severe end of the spectrum. No language skills, a lot of challenging behavior. So I had to get out there and learn a lot and then learn how to advocate for him. And my husband, Mark, who's sitting back here, he would say, we need to learn to be a voice for those who can't speak for themselves. We need to help advocate for others with what we've learned and what we know. And I said, I can barely do the one I have. I cannot take on other people to deal with. But I quickly learned that that is what I needed to do. And it became my passion then, helping families. So when a single mom went to Gwinnett County Schools, my son was 10. She went to the school department for autism that was very newly formed and said, I need support. I'm a single mom. Why isn't there a support group? And she said, I think we need to start a support group here in Gwinnett County. And my friend Deanna Luscre, who was the head of the program at the time, said, I think that's a great idea. I think we do need a support group, but I don't think the school should run a parent support group. I think really parents should run a parent support group. And this mom said, I'm a single mom. There's no way I could do that by myself. And Deanna said, I know a mom who might be willing to help you. And she connected us, and we just connected right away. She had a notebook with a business plan of how to start a support group. And my background is business administration. I have a little bit of a volunteer disorder. I love volunteering. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm in. I'll help you with this. I can help with putting together a newsletter, getting something out through the schools. I'll help with childcare and welcome and greeting and name tags. Just don't put me up in front of people to speak and I'll be good. And this particular mom was the visionary. She had the vision for this organization. I was just the feet on the ground. Let's just make it happen. Our very first meeting, over 100 people showed up. So there was no doubt there was need for support in our community. But you know what? People started saying, we need more. There's no after school program. There's no respite. What do we do in the summer with our kids? We just need to have some judgment-free family opportunities. So we started doing things like holiday parties and egg hunts. And we would do monthly meetings with topics of interest, free childcare, sibling support for the siblings. The whole family could come. And I started thinking we need to incorporate as a 501c3 so we can raise some money to make some of these things happen, fill in the gaps that are existing here. And Gwinnett County is probably one of the largest counties in the whole country. We, at the time, had 45 identified students with autism in the autism program. They have over 4,000 students in Gwinnett County alone right now with the autism diagnosis. So the needs only continue to grow. But I always say, if it weren't for Blake, my boy, I would not be doing any of this, and we wouldn't have the Spectrum Autism Support Center. My son Blake passed away of a heart attack 15 years ago, a sudden heart attack at the age of 23. And my husband said, you know, we may not have to do this disability stuff anymore, because it had become a full-time volunteer job for me running Spectrum. And I said, I think I do still need to do this because it's what I know, it's what I love, but also it's a part of Blake's legacy that I continue this work. And at the time, I took a full-time job with Parent to Parent of Georgia and quickly realized how many hours a week it took to run this nonprofit and that I wasn't going to be able to keep it up. And we needed a strategic plan. We needed to hire someone. They could hire somebody maybe who could do a better job than me, I said, you know, but we need to make that switch. So 9 years ago, they hired me as the ED. I'm still the only full-time paid employee, and I have 6 part-time employees that work with me. All have anywhere from 5 hours a week to 25 hours a week. And we serve over 2,000 individuals with autism every year now. And we offer a lot of programs. I think we have 75 programs and events now. Having that center has really made people find us, know who we are. People drive by, they stop in looking for support. And we have loved being in Duluth. Duluth is a very supportive community. I'm just going to quickly tell you some of the things that Spectrum does, and then I want to talk a little bit about autism because it is Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month, and it might be some of you would like to learn a little bit more about what is involved with individuals with autism. But our core programs are monthly support group meetings, and then we have camps, 6 weeks of day camp. That's our largest program. We have 70 kids a week in day camp. We use the First Baptist Church of Duluth here for our camps because they're so large, and then we have Christ the Lord Lutheran Church in Lawrenceville for a couple of the weeks. We have spring break camp next week. We do mini camps during school breaks. Our Summer Transition Academy is for those individuals that function at a very high ability level. They could work, maybe go to college, drive a car, possibly live independently, but they need that training around the social skills they need for that. And just how do you open a bank account? Revved Up Kids comes out and teaches them about defending themselves and protecting themselves. We have Regions Bank does training on banking. Someone comes out and teaches them how to change a car tire, and they learn to take Uber. It's one of my favorite programs that we do. And we do a Saturday day camp, which is more of a respite program. We have overnight camps up at Camp Twin Lakes in Winder. And then we do a family camp, Labor Day weekend for the whole family. Social skills is the lifelong learning issue for individuals with autism. So we focus all all of our programs on social skills, social opportunities for our kids to practice. They need to learn to make a friend. A lot of our individuals, when they go into adulthood, they're back at home, no job, no friends, become depressed, anxious. And we have on Saturday night at our building 50 adults hanging out at our Saturday social club. And they're playing board games, video games, doing a little karaoke. We have a playground for all age and ability. Those adults are out there in the hammocks and on the swings. And we have a movie room. They can watch movies and just connect with others socially. We do that for teens as well. The respite is just to give parents a break. And on Saturdays, we fill up those respite programs right now with wait lists. The family activities are our largest attended events. We have 600 people signed up today to come to an egg hunt with the city of Norcross, a sensory-friendly egg hunt. We do a fishing day. We have bingo party days, pool parties. We partner with area organizations to do a lot of our events. So we have a pool party with Parks and Rec, the egg hunt with the city of Norcross, and we get sponsors. So opportunities for all kinds of businesses and individuals to sponsor these events. So families can come out to a judgment-free opportunity with other people with children with autism. They don't have to explain why their children is hand flapping or screeching or having a meltdown. Nobody blinks an eye because they're all living with it, and it's okay to come out and enjoy a family day. Our holiday party, many of our families, it's the only holiday party they go to each year. They don't get invited to other people's parties sometime because of their child maybe has some behavior challenges. Our Mom's Day is coming up in May, and we make a day just for moms. Not about autism. It's about them, where we have shoulder neck massages. We have inspirational speaker, a nice lunch. We have crafts they can do to take home and just make it a day about them. And it's really wonderful to be able to support these families in all different ways like that. The one-on-one support to me is really the heart of what I do, is taking those phone calls when someone calls and says, my child was just diagnosed with autism. What do I do now? And just trying to find some people to connect with. We had our monthly meeting this week with, I think we had about 21 parents there. And out of 21, at least 12 of them were there for their first time, just finding support and feeling that relief of knowing there are other people that are living this life that can help us. And you learn more from other parents than you do from any professionals, what I tell people. We have brochures on our website. They can be downloaded, or you can pick them up at our building in English, Spanish, and Korean. And I tell everybody, check out the website. You'll see how much we do. I'm going to kind of skip through the parent support groups, but you see how many support groups we provide. We continue to add support groups based on the needs. So when COVID hit, I had been asked multiple times about starting a support group for people that are married or in a relationship with someone on the spectrum. Maybe they were never diagnosed. You may know people you work with, or people that you know that you think, you know what, I wonder if they might be on the spectrum, but maybe never diagnosed. And so we're seeing more and more adults being diagnosed. Maybe they were diagnosed with ADHD, but they didn't realize it was autism. And it starts maybe impacting their relationships, communication, their job. Often they lose jobs frequently. And that's a struggle in a marriage and in a family. And sometimes their children are diagnosed with autism. We see a lot of autism in families. And then they start realizing, you know what, maybe I'm on the spectrum too. And so providing support for those spouses was something I wanted to do, but I felt like I needed a professional who knows that neurodiverse partner relationship thing. And so a friend of mine got licensed. She's a family and marriage counselor. She got licensed in neurodiverse partners and couples therapy. And so we started during COVID. We just went with it virtual. The beautiful thing about virtual is you can reach so many more people. I love that this today may reach people beyond this area because of all the technology and ways we can do that now. It's really great for people with autism. So we have people that attend those support groups twice a month. We do a neurodiverse partner support group. People come from Canada, California, Hawaii, Europe, Australia, and we have about 60 to 70 people attend those meetings every month and have now a worldwide reach with that. So we have a support group in Spanish only. We have a lot of Spanish speakers in our community who don't speak hardly any English, and so we provide those in Spanish. And then we have a really active dads group, and we just keep adding support groups as the needs arise. We have support groups for adults on the spectrum, one just for women only. I do want to just put in a plug for Autism, excuse me, Awareness and Acceptance Month. You know, we all have differences. And I think people are becoming more understanding about autism and more accepting. So we're way beyond awareness now. People know a lot about autism. Um, the people you know may all be different with autism, but autism is not the absence of ability, it's the presence of difference. So if I can make anything clear, it's just we're all different and let's accept those that are different. I'm going to skip through some of the autism description because I think y'all probably know pretty much about autism. But one of the latest statistics is 1 in 31 are now being diagnosed with autism. And that's about 4 years old, that statistic. So it keeps growing. But 80% of autistic women were diagnosed after the age of 18. So when they say boys are 4 times more likely, I don't know that that's true. I just think they've missed a lot of people. The sensory issues are probably the biggest thing, but 30 to 40% of the children that we serve are what they call nonverbal, which doesn't mean they don't have uh, communication ability, but maybe it's not so meaningful and they call it nonverbal. But a large number of the individuals we serve are the ones that need high level of support and are nonverbal. Anxiety disorder is very big with our adults. It's probably way over 40%, and intellectual disability 30%. I just wanted to mention a lot of people have learned this person first language that you use around autism, where you say, you know, it's a person with autism, not an autistic person, but all of the people with autism, as they grow older, start saying, I'm proud I'm autistic. I am an autistic person. That kind of makes me who I am. And they prefer to be called autistic. So sometimes it depends on the audience of who I'm speaking to. Now you're hearing neurodiverse, neurodivergent, which covers a lot of different disabilities. So many people are calling their groups, a support group for neurodiversity. And we do serve a lot of people with other disabilities with spectrum. They don't have to have autism. They may have characteristics of autism. They may have a syndrome. They may have Down syndrome and autism, cerebral palsy and autism. And we don't even ask about their diagnosis. So wanted people to be familiar with some of the new terminology. This is my favorite part, is how you can help. So I was telling Layla as we were talking, I love networking, meeting people, talking about spectrum. And a lot of people will say, what can we do to help? And we have a lot of ways people can help. It could just be volunteering. And I shouldn't say just volunteering, because a lot of what we do, we depend on volunteers. We have a property, 1.5 acres over here. And this is some of our people doing garden work in this photo. But we have the Master Gardeners of Gwinnett. They donate time every week on our property. We have a sensory garden that you can stop by and visit anytime. We'll do a garden tour this summer, and anybody's welcome, where it's got beautiful, colorful flowering plants. We have hummingbirds and bees and bird feeders out there. There's just a butterfly garden. It's just a very calming space there. Our whole facility is very calming and welcoming, but that garden, people can come sit out there and eat their lunch. We have like a little outdoor learning area and snack area. We have a vegetable garden. If you like gardening and you want to come garden, we have the Duluth Garden Club involved with us. The Duluth High School students come every Thursday. Their National Honor Society get their service hours, and they help spread mulch this week on our property. And we could not do all of this by ourselves. So we really love, and some people love gardening, just need a place to come get their hands in the dirt, right? So we have those opportunities. We have a wish list on our website. One of our projects that we do is training law enforcement, first responders, how to handle maybe an encounter with an individual with autism. And you may have heard that there was a story in the news a couple of weeks ago here in Duluth. A little boy eloped. He got away. He was found near water. Water is something that attracts kids with autism, and many of them don't know how to swim. So it's a huge safety issue. That's our topic for our meeting in May, is making your child water safe and how important that is. A lot of our Black families, a lot of them don't swim at all, the parents even, and are nervous about teaching their child to swim. And so we connect them with swim lessons. But for the law enforcement, we provide a sensory toolkit. And it's a little sensory bag that has information on how to connect with Spectrum, has a noise canceling headset, some fidget toys, some dark glasses, and maybe a little communication card where they can point if they can't speak to tell what they need to communicate. And we provide those for the law enforcement so they can carry them in their trunk. And then when they get those calls, they can pull them out. So this mom, she called me and said, I learned about Spectrum because my son got away and the police came and they were so respectful, so helpful. They found him. They had this sensory toolkit and pulled out these calming toys for him. And that's how they were able to coax him to come with them and to get him calm. And they let him take them home. And she said, that made all the difference, that sensory toolkit that they had. And the Duluth police just called me 2 weeks ago before this incident, said, we thought that training was so valuable last year. We gave out 40 of the toolkits last year and trained 40 Duluth police. They want us to come back in April and do it again. So we're out of toolkits now. They cost about $35 to $40 a piece to put together. We have items on our wish list where you can order a headset for $25, or you could order several items. But that's one way you could help us with those toolkits. You can sponsor a program or event. I was at the Gwinnett Chamber during their holiday giving meeting and met a gal, Michelle Huggins, with Clean Spark. They do the Bitcoin mining, cleaning. I don't know if I really even understand, even though I went and toured exactly how that works, but nothing related to autism of what they do. But she said, we love as a company doing community give back. How could we help Spectrum? And I was like, oh, there are a lot of things you could do to help Spectrum. You could sponsor something like our egg hunt or a family day. You could sponsor a meeting. You can come out to our Georgia Race for Autism and have a table and be a sponsor for that. She said, well, what is one of your biggest needs? And I said, right now we're trying to raise money for some computers. We need 14 laptops for this Summer Transition Academy. And that may be more. I said, then what you want to do? I said, I'm looking for $5,600 for that right now. She said, you know what? I think that's what we'd like to do. And they did. They donated that money and I wasn't even thinking of asking for something like that, but it fit their niche, what they wanted to do. And then she said, I'd like to sponsor your Race for Autism. I want to be there. She said, I also want to come out and help with your trunk or treat. I love doing that. We'll bring candy for the kids and do that. So we came up with all kinds of things where their company could get involved with Spectrum and kind of adopt us. I know there's Fresh Coat Painting. They just did a project for Rainbow Village, and I saw it, and I said to her, do y'all do other nonprofit work? I need my gutters painted. She said, we're looking for a project right now. We'll come do your gutters. Over Christmas holidays, they came and painted our gutters. So sometimes it's just those tangible things. Sometimes it could just be showing up to volunteer at the event where we just need bodies to help. At the egg hunt today, we have 25 volunteers coming out to help with that. You could attend one of our fundraisers. Some of y'all here were at my fundraiser last week, our Raise Your Glass fundraiser that funds a lot of the work that we do, our fundraisers. Our Georgia Race for Autism, over 3,000 people come out. It's a great opportunity if you want to have your business showcased with a vendor resource fair there. And then our Starshine Gala, we are doing a lot of people out there are teaching employment skills to these individuals on the spectrum, but who's training the employer how to work with people? So we do training free for local churches, businesses, the law enforcement as well. And then we recognize area businesses that are hiring people with autism with a celebration, our Starshine Gala. They get a little award. I was at Q Barbecue last night with my husband, and on their bar, you see their little line of awards where for 4 years in a row, they've had our Starshine Award, and they're proud to display it there. They hire 2 or 3 individuals with autism there. So hiring people with autism is another great way you can help our population. I'm almost done, Tom. So I think I did that faster than I thought even. So I wanted to leave time for questions if anybody had any questions about autism, about Spectrum, about how you can get involved. What I love about you guys that you're here to learn and that you really want to figure out how you can make a difference. And thank you, Tom, so much for starting this business for a cause. There's so many causes in our community, but many of our causes overlap. How many of y'all know about Rainbow Village, right? Here in Duluth. Rainbow Village has a lot of individuals now with autism. So they call us and say, "Hey, can you help us? We need a sensory area. Can you help us with how to set that up? We're starting an after school program." And they're like, "We have a few of our kids that need a little more than what we can provide. Maybe we can send them to your after school program." I love partnering with Revved Up Kids, with training our kids. So there's a lot of ways we can partner. And I say, none of us as nonprofits in our community, we're not competing in any way. Actually, we have a very supportive nonprofit community, and everyone's happy to share their resources. Somebody may say, "Hey, did you hear about this grant opportunity?" And I'm like, "I'm going to do that." Allie Neal is great about sharing her grant opportunities. And I'm like, "I'm going to write that grant. She shared it. It's probably good, right?" So I love that we can support each other, and love that businesses are willing to support. We have a lot of businesses that want just a 1-day project, a team building thing. Maybe they want to send 10 or 20 people, and we can design a project just for whatever your needs are. If you want a 2-hour project or an all day project, just to have a team building day for your employees to come out and do some give back. We love doing that as well. We have Mitsubishi Electric Train comes out every year and does a project and loves volunteering. They help with our fishing day. And we have several local businesses that have just said, "We want to have a day that we just do a Spectrum project." Woodman Life is doing a beautification project for us in April, and we got all excited. Just have somebody come plant a bunch of flowers for us and donate the flowers. So all those things make a difference for us. So, any questions? Yes, Janet.
So, just wanted to comment versus the question. So, with dance, I'm the owner of a dance. Thank you. I'm the owner of a dance studio, and dance is so important just for
Yes.
the way that it makes a person feel, and also the exercise component. So, I was just wondering, obviously with autism, movement is important. So, just wondering in terms of partnership, either, one of my instructors coming out to a facility or coming to my studio, I think
And what ages do y'all serve?
from 2 to 92. We have
Okay.
all ages,
So, we have that teen social club
okay,
where we had a student actually came out and taught some dance
okay,
moves for them and things like that.
yeah,
So that would be a great opportunity to have maybe a little dance
yeah,
focus thing,
yeah,
or we could even do a workshop for dance where we
right,
do it just around that. So we should have more conversation about that. Also, if your students wanted to come out to the Race for Autism, we look for performers and also cheerleaders and people to cheer the runners. And sometimes there's a little area, it's not a stage, but it's an area where they can sing or dance or bring their talent to share. And it kind of gets your name out there as well that
yeah,
way.
that would be perfect. I
Yeah,
would
we
love to
want it to be
partner.
always win-win for me, How's
Yeah,
it going to help you too,
right,
right?
right, thank
Yeah,
you.
Layla,
I guess the materials for the police
for the
officers.
sensory
Yes,
toolkits.
what's the best way for us to do that? Is that on the website?
So
or-
on our website, there's a donate page. Our donate page has a lot on there, but there is a wish list there. And I'm just getting ready to put a section just on what those sensory toolkit items are. So you can just order them from Amazon. We have an Amazon wish list and have them shipped directly to us and have a little note saying it's from you. Yeah. We love doing social media shout outs too. We have almost 22,000 followers. So if it would help you for us to do that, I love doing shout outs for people that volunteer, that donate, and giving you a little buzz and then a link to your business and your site too. So that's something a lot of people like. Yeah. What do you get? Okay. Yes. Yeah. There's a link on the page. Yeah. And we typically share that around Christmas, and in July we do like a Christmas in July, help us restock our camp supplies. So a lot of it is camp materials and supplies, and then the toolkit items are on the wish list, but I'm going to have a section on that donate page just what those items are, so you know what to purchase. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that there are those who are very proud to profess their autism, and then there are those who try to hide it.
Yes.
As an employer and having employees who may be on the spectrum or have family members who are on the spectrum, what can we do to help them? I mean, how do we assess that? How do we alter our behavior? Do we alter our HR package for them? What can we do to help?
So if someone discloses they have autism, HR needs to know what they're required to do to accommodate whatever their needs might be. And one of my first adults on the spectrum that I met that was diagnosed later in life was 40 years old, 49 years old when she got diagnosed. And she found my number, called, and said, "Hey, I'm Paula. I just got diagnosed with autism, and I'm 49, and I need to know, what do I need to do now?" And I was like, okay, she's 49. And she said, and I've had the same job for 25 years. So she was employed by OFS doing, she was a software engineer. So she was on a small team, struggling a lot with relationships. New people come in. She didn't like that. She didn't like working in those offices where you have the dividers and you don't have a private office, and struggled a lot with that. So sleep issues. She had sleep issues. Um, a lot of social issues, a lot of anxiety. So I said, "Are you seeing a therapist?" So I helped get her connected with therapists. She helped educate the therapist, but she said, "Should I tell them at work?" And I said, "That is your choice. So people don't have to disclose. So if they choose to disclose, they may be able to get those accommodations. But if they don't, maybe they get fired because of something that could have been accommodated, but they never disclose." So I always encourage people, it's better to tell someone if you know you have autism, because they may understand you better and give you those accommodations. Otherwise, it may be that person is super annoying. They come in the room and they always close all the blinds, because the light bothers them, but they don't say anything. And people are like, "Why do they do that?" But if they could explain, "I have autism. This helps me because the light bothers me. I have a sensitivity to that." Or maybe it's noise. I have to wear noise canceling headsets while I work. I found out you're not allowed to do that in a kitchen where you work for safety reasons. You can't have a headset on, blocking where you can hear. So one of my individuals couldn't tolerate the noises working with the kitchen. And I said, "Can they not wear a headset?" They said, "No, no, no, you can't wear a headset in the kitchen." So sometimes it means you may need to work in a different area or realign what their job is or where they work. And it's all one person is different from another, right? So it depends on that individual what they need. So I do training for UPS every year. Last year, I did a training for them for Autism Awareness Month, and we'll do free training for your business. They wanted me to talk about disclosure in the workplace. And the person that was on the committee that was organizing this lunch and learn, it was going to be a Zoom call with about 150 employees. She said, "I have autism myself, but I've never told anyone." I said, "Well, how come you haven't told anyone?" She said, "Well, I've been here about 10 years, and I worry that people would bully me." I said, "Why do you think they would bully you?" She said, "Because they're going to say, 'There's no way you could have autism because you're so smart. You look fine. You act.'" No. She said, "But they asked me to go after work for drinks or for dinner. I have so much social anxiety. I don't want to go. I hate it. I have to miss work the next day. I'm so stressed out over it." She said, "So I just avoid all of that. But they don't think I'm very friendly. They think I'm very aloof." I said, "Well, what if you just explained I have autism and those things are hard for me? They make me anxious and I can't do that." She said, "Well, I'll think about it." I said, "Well, when we do the little presentation, you could kind of come out and just tell you have autism and see how that goes." And so she decided to do it. And she talked about all the things that made her good at her job, but all the things that were impacted sensory mainly um, by autism for her. And in the chat box, all these employees started putting, "I have autism too." So then they felt comfortable to talk about it when they realized one of their peers had talked about having autism. But when we nominate people for the Starshine Awards, the first thing I have to ask is, do you disclose in your workplace that you have autism? Because I can't nominate you for them hiring someone with autism if they didn't even know you had autism. So a lot of times they don't want to disclose, and that's their choice if they don't want to disclose. I think we all need to be accepting of differences and tolerate people that are different. But I have some of my own employees that I wonder sometimes if they're on the spectrum, and I think, we're running an autism organization. I need to be able to work with people on the spectrum. But if other employees understood the reason someone has struggles with certain areas, it could just be ADHD even, they may be more tolerant and accommodating to understand that. I say that with children too. If children know why someone's different, they're much more compassionate and accepting. Otherwise, it's like, that's the weird guy. Don't play with him. And so a lot of our kids are isolated socially and they are bullied, and that does continue through into adulthood, into the workplace, and maybe they're not people in the work group that fit with other people and have the social part. Yeah, Betsy.
There's a lot of misinformation out there about what causes autism.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, enlighten us with actual, with fact,
Yeah.
not
So the one thing about autism, yeah, is they don't know what causes autism. And there are a lot of theories out there. A lot of people say, oh, is it the vaccines? Is it genetics? Is it environmental? I personally think it's a combination, but also there are different subsets of autism. And so they may be different. We are all exposed to so much environmentally, we don't know what it's doing to any of us. The increase in autism, ADHD, asthma, allergies, Alzheimer's, there are a lot of other things that are increasing too, not just autism. And what if there's something that we're all being exposed to and is causing different immune dysfunction? Immune disorders are huge right now. Autism has an underlying immune component. They just did genetic studies, just came out this week about the immune differences with people. Their immune systems are different. My son had what they call the hyperimmune system. He didn't even get a cold. But some of our kids, it's the opposite. So with autism, you have hypo. Some people like to be touched. They love deep pressure and hugs. Some people don't want you to touch them at all, especially not light touch. And why is that, right? And so they're all have unique and different needs. But I think we're still a long way from finding the cause of autism personally. And I don't ever say, oh, it's this or that, because I don't know either. I have my own theory sometimes. There is definitely a genetic component because you do see it in families. But how did that start? How did that happen? Some people say, you know what? I think my dad might have had autism, or I think my granddad might have had autism. They start looking back, thinking maybe they were undiagnosed. We see it a lot in families. We have families with 3 and 4 children on the spectrum. And so you realize but could they have all been exposed to a similar environmental component? You don't know. So I always say we are not looking for the cure now. We are dealing with the people that are living with it, and so we're focusing on how do we serve the people that already have autism. It would be wonderful if there was a cure. And people with autism, especially, people, they're saying we don't need to be cured. And some of them bring amazing gifts. Some of our famous inventors and artists, they go back now and say they probably had autism. So, last question.
Hi, Claire.
Yeah.
I'm Angie
I know
Patterson with
you,
the Georgia
Angie.
Festival
Yeah.
of Trees, and I wanted to give a shout out to y'all. With the Festival of Trees, we're run by all volunteers, and we started several years ago needing groups of 25 or more to help us tear down the festival, which is over Thanksgiving. And Spectrum has provided this team of 25 or more each year to help us tear down and make us more efficient. So there's a lot that you can do for other community organizations. So I just wanted to comment on that.
I'm
and
glad
thank
you
for that.
mentioned that because that is one of those win-win situations, Angie, because they give us a in-trade sponsorship, so it helps get our name out there. But also they do a beautiful disability day for people with disabilities that we can promote and help people know they have a sensory-friendly time to go early to the Festival of Trees. And it's such a beautiful event. And we've had a lot of, since y'all started, we've been volunteering with the Festival of Trees. And maybe people are uncomfortable volunteering with individuals with autism. But who doesn't want to come to the Festival of Trees and tear down those trees? But it's a fun, and that's a great one to get groups who are looking for a group opportunity to come. And y'all give them T-shirts and to make it so fun for them, So thank you.
This is the last question, I suppose.
Okay.
So many people wonder if they're on the spectrum because of different boxes that they check.
Right.
So when you have somebody who's curious about that or somebody who's wondering about a spouse, how do they go? What do you recommend on going about the steps in getting diagnosed?
Yeah, so we talk about this every single month at those support group meetings because many of the people that attend, they don't know if their spouse is on the spectrum or not. They just suspect they are. Maybe they're pretty convinced, but maybe their spouse doesn't want to be tested or won't go for testing. But there are online tools now. You can Google them where you can do your own little checklist. And if 75 to 80% of those check marks say you most likely have autism, you may just think, okay, probably so. But does it matter at their age if they get diagnosed? Maybe not. It's not necessary to have a formal diagnosis. A lot of the benefits you receive, like state funding and all, you have to be diagnosed before the age of 18. So they're not going to receive any extra benefits for getting diagnosed. It helps them understand themselves better, maybe, or their family to understand why they're different.
For children, would you get what is the
Yeah, for children, definitely. And by the way, we're partnering with, there is a new technology called Early Point Diagnostics. It is an eye gaze test. It was developed here at Marcus Autism Center by Dr. Ami Klin, and they've just come out now with the technology where some of these autism therapy clinics are able to offer this diagnostic tool. It is not, it's a screening tool. It's not something to diagnose, but to screen for those early characteristics. You can start at 16 months up to 8 years, and we're hosting those monthly at our building for free. So you can find that on our website. If you know anybody with a child who may suspect their child's on the spectrum, up to 8 years old, they can use this eye gaze technology to screen them and then get them involved in some early intervention services before they get that formal diagnosis. The wait lists are very long sometimes to get a diagnosis. You can't wait. You need to know so you can start that early intervention. They have proven that the outcomes are much better for people with early intervention. So we really encourage people to go ahead and get a diagnosis. And labels, a lot of people don't like the idea of labels. I think now there's so many different things that people are dealing with OCD and, ADHD. There's so many other conditions that maybe they're focusing on, but maybe that's a part of their autism. And the services they can receive with the diagnosis are so many more here, especially even in the school system when you have that autism diagnosis. ABA therapy is one of the proven ways to teach a child with autism. But if you have Down syndrome, you don't qualify for insurance to pay for ABA therapy. So a lot of our children with Down syndrome are seeking that diagnosis of autism along with their Down syndrome so they can qualify for those services so insurance will pay for it. So there are a lot of positive reasons to have the actual diagnosis. Gwinnett County has great services for autism in the school system too. So if you have your diagnosis, you're able to qualify to be in those programs. So anyway, you can talk to me more about that though. Thank y'all so much for having me today. I look forward to what's coming next with you, Tom.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Claire. Obviously impactful. We all have a story. I have a story. I've been told I need to write a book by many physical therapists. Our employees have stories. Our employee families have stories. Some of them are publicly known. Some of them, many of them are not. And these are people who just, without the knowledge, without knowing that there is help, that there is a resource, that there is an out, they just go on living their lives. We can actually, it could be as simple as just forwarding the message. So if we amplify, that's really my key behind all this, is the amplification of the message. So if somebody has autism and we can help them just by sharing the message. So if you get an email, just share the email. If you get a text, share the text. If you get a LinkedIn or social media post, share it. Because just sharing that message, just amplifying the message begins to create the awareness, and that awareness could mean the difference in somebody's life. And so I want to wrap up and say thank you so much for all of you coming out here today. I appreciate it very, very much coming out on a Saturday morning. I wish you all a happy Easter and enjoy your spring break. Thank you.